Hey everybody out there, my name is Dragnix, and this is Toren. $9.99 came out on Steam today. It is an adventure game from Brazil that has its main draw be its art style and presentation. It's definitely got a unique art style, and definitely has a presentation that seems very epic in nature. It seems like very much a journey-like experience. Now, the problem here, and this is coming from a personal bias, and I'm going to put this out there right now. When I was raised as a software engineer, I did it for about 6 years before starting this YouTube thing. There are things you notice more often than other people may. And I think when it comes to the details of Toren is where it fails. Now, I will admit the story is interesting. The art style is interesting. The story can be a little bit confusing, but the problem again comes with how it is presented, and then specifically the little details in which it doesn't actually hit the mark. And I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about by playing through a couple of portions here. Now, you are this little girl, and the basic story along this line is the fact that, you know, you're basically the chosen one. You're the one who's going to defeat the dragon at the top of the tower to save the people, basically. I found a sword. Finally got the sword after a while. Now, remember what I was talking about in terms of details? Let's do this here. Notice how it's very. It's not natural. She sort of steps into the air and falls. It's little details like that that really bothered me about this game in terms of the animation and the sort of quality that I would expect for a game that focuses so much on the visual portion of it. Now that's the dragon in question, and the dragon is not exactly a happy camper. He's going to disappear at this point. Now, okay, there. See? There. Did you see what I'm talking about? Let's do it again. Look at her feet. Look at her feet and how she walks. Notice how they go into the ground. In fact, it's in the ground right now. It's little details like that that are really annoying to me and really take me out of the experience. The idea of immersion, getting me invested into the story and everything like that, when I see something like that, it immediately takes me out. Noticing that his wing is completely inside the wall there, that's going to take me out of the experience. Okay. Noticing that it wants me to hit the triangle button when I'm using an Xbox controller. Okay, that's a little bit of a detail in question, but, you know, that one's passable at least. Now, this is an adventure game, but there is a little bit of combat. But I say a little, I mean a little. That's what you saw right there. That's the combat. No sounds for, you know, hitting something that would really, you know, sell the experience. Again, it's little details like that that make games, in my opinion. The overall experience is hurt when you miss those little details, especially when you're looking for a game that's trying to immerse. Now, the thing is, people have been comparing this game, who have done reviews, to Ico, Papo and Ya, and Brothers of Tale Two Sons. All reasonably fun games in their own right, and different experiences. But where this game fails is, again, that level of immersion. When I played through Ico, yeah, it had its little quirks, but I felt like I was escorting the girl through the experience in question. I felt like I was doing something here. Here I feel like I'm more along for the ride. The unnatural case of how things go about in terms of how you pull this, how you have the sword launch from your hands, how the enemy is just sort of there. It really hurts the experience overall, like I've said. And the thing is that the game doesn't have enough gameplay elements to make up for it. The thing is that this game is a game in its own right, I guess, but the gameplay elements aren't numerous. Basically, it's sort of an exploring game. You do have some platforming, you do have some combat, as you see here, but basically, it's just sort of there to sort of move the story along. Now, the story, I will admit, is interesting to say the least. Okay, and she's turned me to stone, resetting me back at the checkpoint. Men are not naturally evil, they merely refuse to confront their own abyss. There's a lot of good themes and ideas in the game. This game feels like it was made to make the points in question in terms of its vision and its sort of themes that I was going for. And the themes do work. I mean, I do like some of the symbolism that has taken place with the dragon and this sort of stone nature of it, the childhood, the sort of coming of age type of tale. But that can only go so far. The problem I have is specifically, there we go. Need to jump back up here. The problem is specifically is the fact that I feel like the game has sort of thrown a lot in terms of this world at me, and not with a lot of context. Now, games can do well regardless of that kind of contextless base story. The fact is that you don't need to know everything. You're not expected to know everything. And it's sometimes good to have that sort of, hidden understanding, or that, not hidden understanding necessarily, but that unknowing nature to what is going on around you, that sort of mystery that you're going to solve. But again, with this one, I feel like there's too many holes in terms of you not understanding. And she falls over. And notice how the sword is directly into the ground. Again, the technical imprecision really bothers me. I know this is an indie title, and I shouldn't be expecting, the greatest of technical precision. But again, when I talk about the fact that you're going to make it a visual game, you're obviously going for a visual nature here. That's going to stand out. There's a reason why a lot of titles, like you see a lot of 8-bit titles, for example, focus on gameplay elements rather than the art style, because just necessarily the technical precision needed with some of the animation portions are pretty high. Now I'm in the dream world, and now I have to make this symbol in terms of salt. Pour the salt on the wounds, per se. Just have to sort of get halfway through it. Dark clouds gather as Soldier awoke. Soldier, being the dragon, drawn by the moon, began to climb the tower. Silence fell across the land. He paused once when he saw you, but there was no stopping now. I do like there are little details in this game that do work. Like if you pour salt next to the deer in question, the deer will actually go and, attempt to eat it at that point. But I wanted to do this section because, again, when I felt like I was playing this game, I felt like I was playing, well, every weapon is made stronger by the sacrifice of innocent life. That's a bad message, but I felt like it was a producer who had an idea but didn't know how to execute a game. And this section, I think, really brings it to the forefront. Now, you're running along this section here, and there's wind. Now, there's nothing you can really do about the wind. You'll just get thrown back at certain times. There we go, you see? And again, the animation doesn't help it at all, but then you'll be able to move forward. The thing is, this happens about 8 or 9 times, and there's nothing you can really do about it. It's just slow gameplay that I don't see the purpose of. Now, one could argue that, it's her fighting through the wind that refuses to let her go, that refuses to let her go through. But the slow nature in terms of the, movement in question, it feels, again, more like you're just sort of put that there to make a challenge more than necessarily making a challenge that the player wanted to play. What do I mean by that? Well, it felt like this is just sort of a middle portion in terms of you got 2 big set pieces, and this is going to be something that's thrown in the middle so that you can say at least, the player did something in the middle of it. It feels like it's tacked on. Feels like it doesn't really serve a purpose compared to everything else that you've been doing so far. Come on. I want to jump up there. I want to jump. No. How the wind is able to blow me when I'm behind the rock, don't know. And so I feel like this portion in particular has no purpose and is just there for the sake of being there, which hurts the overall experience. Go up here. All sacrifices come at a cost. Atop the tower, Solder saw the dragon. Oh, Solder isn't the dragon, apparently. And there was some pop in there. Some bad pop in. Dying Solder cursed humanity for its cruelty. Well, we are cruel beings. I mean, just look at Twitter. And this is the last I know of his story. Yeah, this is this ancient that's sort of guiding you. It's unclear exactly what purpose he serves, but you're trying to get all these triangles and get up to the top of the tower, like I said before. Now, and again, there's the technical imprecision again. Also, why blood? Now, the different, like, changes that she undergoes in terms of her, like, visual appearance can be a little bit striking at times. And also, like, this blood here, like, the first time that happened with the blood portion, it felt really awkward and really weird. Like, why is she in the pool of blood? Is that her own blood? Where did that come from? Not a lot of questions that are answered to it. Honestly, with Toren, you're paying for an experience more than anything else. This gameplay, there is not a lot of gameplay. There is barely any gameplay. She just tore her own head off. Yeah, that was her. Don't ask. But if you're willing to overlook its weaknesses in terms of animation quality, the lack of gameplay, and are here for the story more than anything else, then that would be fine. That this game does do its job there. But I can't recommend the game with the lack of imprecision again. And I know I've been harping on that since the start of this Let's Try, but it really, really stands out to me with the lack of immersion that's taking place there. Just the floaty controls at times. I mean, when you jump, you have this, like, weird, almost like Peach-like. Remember how I talked about imprecision? Yeah, floating on the world. I'm a sorceress. I'm a sorceress. Woo! Oh god! Oh god! Okay, I didn't even actually jump that way. I was actually jumping to the northwest corner on my controller, and instead I went southwest. All right, fine. I'm sorry, guys. I mean, I'm giving Toren a chance in terms of the story motion, but I just honestly can't recommend it. I can't. It's just, it's got too many technical flaws that are so outlandish that I can't get by them at this point. While a game can technically have problems, again, when you're so focused on the visuals and so focused on the presentation aspect, it's going to hurt you overall. And in the essence, Toren, unfortunately, despite a reasonable story, despite some good themes, and despite some great visuals in terms of the artwork, animation quality fails, and just combat, gameplay, not there. I'm sorry. I gotta say a no on this one. Alright, this is Dragnix signing out. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and keep on gaming. Hey, thanks for watching. If you have a chance, leave some feedback and comments below. If you liked the video, hit that like button. And if you want more content like this, hit that subscribe button. This is Dragnix signing off, hoping that gaming brings as much fun to you as it does for me.